Hello, my name is Cynthia Gravely, and we are here today to look at the fourth grade data overview at Euharlee Elementary School. The purpose of this presentation is to take a close look at the academic performance of our fourth grade students. We will first look at the demographics of the school. We will be discussing student enrollment, the socioeconomic status of the school's population, and the students' attendance data to identify trends. Then we will look at staff data and break it down by gender and years experience. We will review reading and math student achievement data to identify strengths and areas of improvement revealed during the presentation. Finally, we will discuss the next step our school needs to take in order to meet the needs of our students and increase student achievement. In looking at the total student enrollment, you will notice the population of our school has decreased by over 100 students in the past 4 years. This is attributed to redistricting within the county system. Even though the number of students has decreased at Euharlee, you will see the demographics of our school have remained fairly consistent. We are now looking at student enrollment by gender. For the most part, Euharlee has about the same percentage of boys and girls. It varies little year to year, but overall our school is consistently half male and half female. In 2016-2017, Euharlee Elementary was comprised of 86% Caucasian students, 4% African Americans, 7% Hispanic, and 3% of students having 2 or more ethnicities. And looking at the bar graphs, you can see these percentages remain the same for the past 4 years with very little differences. The percentage of economically disadvantaged students also has remained consistent over the past 4 years. In 2016-2017, 54% of the school's population was considered economically disadvantaged. And looking at the bar graphs, you can see where the percentage of economically disadvantaged students has stayed between 52 and 58%. Students with disabilities in 2016-2017 represented 15% of the student population. The year before that, 14% of the population qualified as students with disabilities, and this remained fairly consistent in the years before that. At Euharlee Elementary School, we have a small number of English language learners. In the past 4 years, these students only made up 3 to 4% of the student population. Since 2013-2014, gifted students made up 4 to 6% of the student population. And looking at the demographics of the school, you can come to the conclusion that Euharlee Elementary does not have a very diverse population and has a very small transient rate. In this graph, we are looking at the students' attendance for the past 4 years. The number of students with 5 or fewer days, you notice the number of students decrease over the 4 years, which is a strength with regards to attendance. We do have a large area of improvement because the number of students missing 6 to 15 days has remained consistent for 4 years, and so has the number of students that have missed more than 15 days. Another thing I want to point out is that in 2016-17, 251 students, which is almost half of the student population, missed more than 5 days of school. How can students learn content standards if they're not present at school? Now we are looking at the number of full-time certified staff. Currently, there are 42 certified staff members, which have decreased, but this matches the number of the decrease in our total school population. All 42 current certified staff members are Caucasian. As you recall, there's almost an equal number of male and female students at Euharlee. Unfortunately, our staff does not mirror our student population. As you can see in the graphs, this past year, only 1 staff member was male and the rest were female. Do you think this affects our student population? In this graph, we are looking at the years of experience of all certified staff. As you can see, the majority of our staff has 11 or more years of experience. This is the strength of our school because everyone has a good bit of experience in the classroom, which helps increase student achievement. Based on the teacher data, you can see our certified staff members have remained fairly consistent over the past 4 years. Just as with the student population, our staff population is not very transient, nor is it diverse. Now we are going to look at student achievement data. First, we will look at the CCRPI score and compare the schools, the districts, and the states. We will also look at Georgia Milestones and CRCT data. Finally, we will look more closely at the Georgia Milestones data to determine specific strengths and areas of improvement. In looking at the CCRPI scores, you will notice in 2015-2016, the school score improved tremendously and was higher than the district and state. Another strength in the data is that Euharlee Elementary CCRPI score for the past 4 years has either been higher than the district score or equal to it. When comparing Euharlee to the state, the school score has either been higher than the state 3 out of 4 years. Here, we are looking at the mean scores on the Georgia Milestones. As you can see, according to the scores, the school has a higher average than the district and state. And looking at the math mean scores, the school score is 1.9 points below the district, but is performing better than the state. Both the mean score for reading and math fall into the developing learning category. In 2014-2015, Euharlee's mean score in reading and math was below the district and state. When comparing these scores to the 2015-2016, you can see the improvement in Euharlee's score. The reading increased 10.7 points and math increased 13.9. What can we attribute this increase in student achievement to? Now we are looking at CRCT data for 2013-2014. You may notice the school did not perform as well as the district or state in reading, ELA, or math. The school, district, and state mean scores do still fall in the meeting expectations range. This is 2012-2013 CRCT data. You may notice that the school is outperforming the district and the state in reading only. You may also notice the reading scores dropped in 2013-2014. The ELA and math scores were still below the district and state. Here, we are looking at the percentage of students that fall into each category in reading. As you can see, Euharlee Elementary had 27.1% of students that scored as a beginning learner. 36.5% were developing, 28.2% were proficient, and 8.2% were distinguished learners. In comparison to the district and the state, Euharlee had more proficient and distinguished learners and less beginning learners. This is a strength of the data, but what can we attribute it to? How can we increase the number of distinguished learners? We are now looking at the 2014-2015 reading scale scores. As you can see, our scores are not as good as our 2015-2016 scores. We have very little distinguished learners, and the proficient learners are lower than the district and the state percentages. The school also has more beginning learners and developing learners than the district and the state. Here's another chart showing you the percentage of proficient and distinguished learners in the school, district, state for the past 2 years. You can see how the percentage of students falling into these categories improved between the 2 years. In 2014-15, the school had 26.1%, and it increased to 36.4%. Here's a review of the strengths in reading data. We noticed in the last 4 years, our reading scores showed an increase in the number of students achieving grade level expectations in 4th grade. The school's percentage of beginning learners is less than the district and state. The percentage of proficient and distinguished learners at the school has increased and is now higher than the district and state. This data shows that the daily reading differentiated intervention for all students is successful and should be continued. Now, as we are looking at the percentage of students that fell into each category in math, as you can see, Euharlee Elementary had 18.8% of students that scored as beginning learners. 40% were developing, 31.8% were proficient, and 9.4% were distinguished learners. In comparison to the state, Harley had more proficient and distinguished learners and less beginning. This is another strength of the data shows. How can we continue to keep up with this success and increase the number of distinguished learners? Here are the 2014-2015 math scale scores. As you can see, our scores are not as good as 2015-2016. We have very little distinguished learners, and the proficient learners are lower than the district and state. In addition, the school has more students beginning learning and developing combined with the district and state. Our last piece of data we are looking at is how the school's proficient and distinguished learners in math compare to the district and state for the past 2 years. You can see how the percentage of students falling into this category improved between the 2 years, from 27.2% in 2014-2015 up to 41.2%. This resulting in the school having a higher percentage of proficient and distinguished learners than the state. Let's review the strengths in the math data that we just looked at. Over the past 4 years, our math scores show an increase in the number of students achieving grade level expectations in 4th grade. The percentage of proficient and distinguished learners is higher than the state, and the percentage of distinguished learners increased 7.2% between 2014 and 2016. Finally, the number of beginning learners is less than the state's average. This could be attributed to the focus on balanced math instruction and after-school tutoring. Now we are looking at the areas of improvement at our school. We noted almost half of the student population has 6 or more absences. In the school improvement plan, we address the number of students with excessive absences. This might be an area we need to address again because we still have too many students absent. Another area of improvement is that there is a lower number of students achieving the level of distinguished learners in reading and math. We do not have any initiatives to address our distinguished learners. We may need to create an action step to address this area of improvement. The final area is with our math data. We noted the number of beginning learners did not change much in the past 2 years. We have a few initiatives in math, but very few of them are fully implemented by all staff members. These are the discussion questions you are going to go back to your grade level meetings and discuss. We need you to address these issues and come up with potential solutions. I want you to communicate the surprises you found in the data. What impact does attendance have on achievement scores? How we can improve student achievement? How the reading and math teachers can help increase the number of distinguished learners? How can we decrease the number of beginning learners in math? And how can we fully implement the math initiatives in place to help increase student achievement? The next steps you will take after you have reviewed the data and discussed the questions from the previous slide is to determine an action plan to address and improve weaknesses in reading and math. Finally, you will determine how to change the current math initiatives so that they will be implemented by all staff members to help increase student achievement. If you have any additional questions or concerns, please let me know. Thank you for attending this data overview presentation.